hit the workshop roof like bullets. Elias Rowan didn't look up. His hands were covered in grease, fixing a broken motor that should have been thrown away years ago. Just like everything else in his life. "Daddy, I'm hungry." Lily sat in the corner, drawing circles on paper. Over and over. Perfect circles. She was 8 years old and hadn't spoken a full sentence in 3 years. Elias wiped his hands on his jeans. 5 more minutes, baby. I promise. He was lying. He had $12 in his wallet. Enough for maybe 2 more days of food. The rent was late again. The landlord stopped answering his calls. This is how you drown slowly, one bill at a time. Then he heard it. "Hi, welcome to Pop Stories channel. Thanks for watching. Kindly tell me what country you're watching from." The sound didn't belong here. Not in this neighborhood. Not on this street where cars barely ran and dreams came to die. A limousine. Black. Shining. Expensive in a way that felt violent. Elias stood up, confused. His heart started pounding for reasons he couldn't explain. The driver stepped out first. Suit. Sunglasses. Face like stone. He opened the back door with a kind of precision that only comes from serving people who expect perfection. Then she appeared. A woman in her 40s. Beautiful in that cold, untouchable way rich people are. Her clothes probably cost more than Elias made in 6 months. She looked at the workshop like it was a disease she might catch. But it wasn't her that made Elias freeze. It was the girl. Wheelchair. 17, maybe 18. Dark hair falling over her face like she was trying to hide from the world. Her hands were folded in her lap, twisted in a way that looked painful. Her eyes were empty. Not sad. Just gone. The mother said nothing. She just stared at Elias through the rain, waiting for him to understand something he couldn't possibly understand. Lily stopped drawing. She looked up at the limousine, then at her father. "Daddy, why is she crying?" Elias looked closer. The girl in the wheelchair. A single tear running down her cheek, silent, like she'd learned a long time ago that crying didn't fix anything. The mother finally spoke. Her voice was sharp, desperate. "You're Elias Rowan?" "Yeah." "You need to help my daughter. I fix machines, not people. I know what you did for your daughter." Her voice cracked. "I know everything." Elias felt his chest tighten. Nobody knew about Lily. Nobody was supposed to know. The rain kept falling. The limousine kept running. And Elias Rowan's life, the one he thought couldn't get any worse, was about to shatter into something he never saw coming. Her name was Ariel Beaumont. The world knew her as the daughter of Celeste Beaumont, billionaire philanthropist, the woman who built empires while smiling for cameras. But Ariel? She was the secret no one talked about. It started when she was 12. A fall during ballet practice. Nothing serious. Just a bad landing. Except she never got up the same way. First, it was pain in her hip. Then her legs felt heavy. Then one morning, she woke up and couldn't feel her toes. Celeste threw money at the problem like it was on fire. Boston Children's Hospital, Johns Hopkins, Mayo Clinic, Switzerland, Germany, Japan, 17 specialists, 43 tests, endless scans, injections, surgeries that promised miracles but delivered nothing. Nerve damage, spinal compression, psychological. That last one broke something in Celeste. They were calling her daughter a liar. Ariel stopped talking after that appointment. Why speak when no one believes you? The wheelchair became her prison. For years locked inside a body that betrayed her. For years watching her mother's face crumble every time another doctor said, "There's nothing more we can do." Celeste couldn't accept it. She fired assistants who suggested acceptance. She screamed at doctors who mentioned quality of life instead of cures. At night, when the house was silent and the staff had gone home, Celeste would sit beside Ariel's bed and cry. "I'm sorry, baby. I'm so sorry." Ariel never responded. She just stared at the ceiling, counting the cracks in the paint, wondering if this was all her life would ever be. But Celeste kept searching, obsessively, desperately. That's when she found the rumors. A man in Boston's River District. No medical degree, no fancy clinic, just a broken-down workshop and a daughter nobody understood. They said he did something impossible, something doctors couldn't explain. Celeste's advisors told her it was insane, a waste of time, probably a scam. But she was out of options, out of hope, out of everything except the awful certainty that if she didn't try one more time, she'd lose her daughter forever. Not to death, but to a life that wasn't worth living. So she got in the limousine and drove into a neighborhood where people like her never went, to find a man who fixed machines. Because maybe, just maybe, he could fix what the best doctors in the world couldn't. Elias Rowan wasn't always broken. There was a time when he had dreams. Big ones. Engineering degree from a state school. Plans to build things that mattered. Then Sarah got pregnant. They weren't ready. 23 years old, barely making rent. But they were in love and stupid enough to think that was enough. Lily came early. Too early. Sarah didn't make it past the delivery room. Elias held his daughter for the first time while his wife's heart monitor flatlined in the background. The nurses were crying. He wasn't. He couldn't. His brain just stopped. For 3 years, Lily didn't speak, didn't look at people, didn't react to her own name. Autism, they said. Severe. Nonverbal. She'll need full-time care forever. Elias quit his job, sold everything, moved to the cheapest place he could find, this workshop in the River District where the rent was low, and hope came to die. He spent his days fixing broken machines because it was the only thing that made sense anymore. Machines had rules, logic. You could take them apart and put them back together. People just broke and stayed broken. But Lily was different. He noticed things doctors didn't. The way she moved her fingers in patterns. How she'd hum certain sounds when machines were running. She wasn't lost. She was just speaking a language no one understood. So Elias learned it. He built her things, tools, devices that helped her communicate without words. He studied her body, her movements, her pain. And slowly, impossibly, she started coming back. Not cured, but present, alive. His. He never told anyone, never published anything, never sought credit. Because the moment you go public, they take it from you. Turn it into money. Patents. Fame. Elias didn't want fame. He wanted his daughter to have a life. But somehow, someone found out. Now this billionaire woman stood in his workshop, rain dripping off her expensive coat, begging him to save her child. Elias looked at Ariel in that wheelchair. Saw the same emptiness he'd seen in Lily's eyes years ago. The same look that said, "I've given up." He should have said no. Should have sent them away. This wasn't his problem. But Lily walked over to the wheelchair, stood in front of Ariel, and did something she never did with strangers. She reached out and touched the girl's hand. Ariel's eyes flickered, just for a second. But Elias saw it. And he knew he was already too late to walk away. The workshop smelled like oil and rust and old coffee. Ariel sat in her wheelchair, staring at nothing. She perfected that look, the one that made people stop asking questions. Celeste stood by the door, arms crossed, watching Elias like he might disappear if she blinked. Elias knelt down in front of Ariel, eye level, not above her. Not like doctors did. "Can I ask you something?" Ariel didn't respond. Why would she? She'd heard every question already. But Elias didn't ask the usual ones. He didn't ask if she could move her legs. Didn't ask about her last treatment. Didn't ask her to try harder, like her body was something she could just will into working. Instead, he asked something no one had asked in 4 years. Where does it hurt the most? Ariel's breath caught. Not, where can't you move? Not, what's wrong with you? Where does it hurt? Her eyes filled with tears before she could stop them. My hip, she whispered. Her voice was rough from not using it. It feels like something's tearing. All the time. Celeste gasped. She'd never heard her daughter say that. Never heard her describe the pain. Elias nodded slowly. Show me exactly where. Ariel's hand moved to her right hip, then her lower back, then her shoulder, here, and here, and it shoots down my leg. But they said that's impossible because the scans show. Forget the scans, Elias said quietly. I'm asking you. Not the machines. Not the doctors. You. Something cracked open inside Ariel. For years of being told her pain wasn't real. That the tests mattered more than what she felt. It's like fire, she said, voice shaking. Like my muscles are being squeezed in a vice. Every second. And when I try to move, it gets worse, so I just stop trying. Elias stood up, walked around her wheelchair, studying, thinking. He touched her shoulder gently. Does this hurt? Yes. He pressed slightly on her hip. This. Oh God, yes. He looked at Celeste. His face was serious. Angry almost. Your daughter isn't paralyzed. Celeste's heart stopped. What? She's been in pain, so long her body locked itself down to protect her. Every muscle, every nerve, it's all in survival mode. But the doctors said. The doctors were looking at pictures. I'm looking at her. Ariel stared at him. Hope and terror fighting in her chest. Can you fix it? Elias met her eyes. I don't know yet, but I'm going to try. Elias worked slowly, carefully. His hands moved across Ariel's back, shoulders, hips, not like a doctor, but like someone reading a language written in pain. Tell me when it gets worse, he said. Ariel nodded. Her heart was pounding. No one had touched her like this. Like her body held answers instead of just problems. Elias pressed gently on her lower spine. There. A little. He moved higher, between her shoulder blades. Here. More. Then he touched her right hip, the spot she'd pointed to earlier. Ariel screamed. Not loud, but raw, real. The kind of sound you can't fake. Celeste rushed forward. Stop. You're hurting her. I know, Elias said, not moving. But this isn't supposed to hurt. Not like this. He looked at Ariel. How long has this exact spot felt like this? Since the beginning, she gasped. Since the fall. Elias stood up, paced. His mind was racing. You fell during ballet. Landed wrong. Right side. Yes. And the pain started immediately? No. It started 2 days later. Elias stopped. 2 days. I thought I was just sore. Then I woke up and couldn't walk right. He turned to Celeste. What did the first doctor say? Nerve damage. Possible spinal issue. They did surgery 3 months later. What kind of surgery? Decompression. They said it would relieve pressure on her spine. Elias's jaw tightened. Did it help? Celeste's voice cracked. It made her worse. Ariel closed her eyes. That surgery was the end. After that, she never walked again. Elias knelt back down. I need to tell you something. And you're not going to like it. Ariel looked at him. Scared. Hopeful. Desperate. Your fall caused a muscle tear. Deep. Right here. He touched her hip again, lighter this time. It never healed properly. Instead, it locked up. Your body built scar tissue around it tighter and tighter, pulling everything out of place. But the scans. Scans don't always show soft tissue damage like this, especially if no one's looking for it. Celeste's hands were shaking, so the surgery made it worse. They cut into the wrong area, added more trauma, more scar tissue. Ariel felt rage rising in her chest. For years of her life stolen because someone missed something. Why didn't anyone see this? She whispered. Elias looked at her with something like sadness. Because they stopped listening to you. They trusted machines more than your pain. Silence filled the workshop. Then Ariel asked the only question that mattered. Can you fix it? Elias hesitated. I can try. Celeste couldn't breathe. You're telling me all of this because of a muscle? Her voice was rising. For years. Hundreds of millions of dollars. The best doctors in the world. And it was a muscle they missed. Elias didn't flinch. Not just a muscle. A cascade. When that tear didn't heal, your daughter's body compensated. Her hip tilted. Her spine curved. Her nerves got compressed, not from disease, but from her own muscles squeezing them. That's impossible, Celeste said. But her voice was shaking. It's not. Elias pulled out his phone, showed her pictures of Lily from 3 years ago. Twisted, locked, unable to move right. Then recent photos. Lily standing, smiling, alive. My daughter had something similar. Different cause. Same result. Her body was fighting itself. Ariel stared at the photos. What did you do? I stopped treating the symptoms. Started treating the war happening inside her body. Celeste felt tears burning her eyes. Rage, grief, relief, all at once. The doctors in Switzerland, Johns Hopkins, they all said. They said what the test told them to say. Elias interrupted. But tests don't feel pain. Your daughter does. Ariel's voice was barely a whisper. Why did they do surgery if they didn't know what was wrong? Elias looked at her. His face was hard, honest. Because doing something feels better than admitting you don't know, even if that something makes it worse. The words hit like a punch. Celeste covered her mouth. All those doctors, all that trust. And they were just guessing. I could have walked, Ariel said. Her voice was breaking. I could have walked this whole time. Maybe. Maybe not. Elias wouldn't lie to her. The damage is real. The pain is real. But it's not what they told you it was. Ariel looked at her mother. For years of watching her cry. For years of being the burden that broke the unbreakable Celeste Beaumont. I'm so sorry, Mom. No. Celeste dropped to her knees in front of the wheelchair. Grabbed her daughter's hands. No, baby, I'm sorry. I should have listened to you. I should have believed you when you said it hurt differently than they thought. You did everything. I threw money at you, not understanding. They were both crying now. Elias stepped back. Let them have the moment. Lily tugged on his sleeve. Looked up at him with those big, knowing eyes. You're going to help her, right, Daddy? Elias looked at Ariel. At the hope blooming in her face. At the terror of hoping again after so long. Yeah, baby. I'm going to try. 3 weeks later, everything changed. Elias worked with Ariel every day. Not like therapy. Like archaeology. Carefully uncovering what was buried beneath years of pain. He didn't use fancy equipment. Just his hands. Pressure. Release. Teaching her body it was safe to let go. Breathe, he said. Your muscles are holding memories. We have to convince them the danger is over. Ariel bit her lip. The pain was different now. Not sharp. Deep. Like something old breaking apart. Celeste watched from the corner. Every session. Never missing one. Today felt different. Elias helped Ariel out of the wheelchair. Supported her weight. Her legs were shaking. I can't. You don't have to do it alone, he said quietly. Just try. Lily sat on the floor, watching. She started humming, the sound she made when something important was happening. Ariel's feet touched the ground. Full weight. Her knees wanted to buckle. Stay with me, Elias said. Find your center. She closed her eyes, focused on the feeling, not the fear. Then Elias did something he hadn't done before. He let go. For 1 second, Ariel Beaumont stood on her own. Her eyes flew open. Her legs gave out. Elias caught her before she fell. But it didn't matter. She had stood. Celeste's hand covered her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Oh my God! Oh my God! Ariel was shaking, sobbing, laughing, all at once. I felt it. I felt my legs. I know, Elias said. His own voice was tight. I know you did. He helped her back into the wheelchair. But everything was different now. The prison had a crack in it. Celeste walked over slowly, knelt in front of her daughter. She couldn't speak, just put her forehead against Ariel's and cried. For years of guilt, of failure, of watching her daughter disappear. And in 1 second, she got her back. How? Celeste finally whispered. Elias looked at her. It was never about money, or technology, or the best doctors. Then what? It was about believing her pain was real, and that her body wanted to heal, it just forgot how. Ariel looked at Lily, who was still humming, rocking slightly. Your daughter's magic, Ariel said softly. Elias smiled. Sad. Proud. Yeah, she is. But he knew what was coming next. The world was going to find out. And when it did, everything would explode. Celeste pulled out her phone. Her hands were shaking. I need to tell people. I need to. Wait, Elias said. His voice was urgent. Once you do that, you can't take it back. Celeste looked at him. At this man in his broken workshop, who did what billions couldn't buy. I don't want to take it back. She made the call. And the miracle went public. The video went viral in 4 hours. Celeste Beaumont, billionaire, icon, untouchable, posted a clip of Ariel standing, shaking, crying, alive. The caption was simple. A man with no degree did what 17 specialists couldn't. 10 million views by morning. Then the attack started. Dr. Raymond Chin, chief of neurology at Boston General, was the first to go public. This is dangerous, reckless. This man has no medical training. He's putting lives at risk. CNN ran the story. Fox News, BBC, miracle or fraud? The medical establishment closed ranks fast. Without proper scans, peer review, clinical trials, this is pseudoscience. He got lucky. One case means nothing. The Beaumonts are desperate. They're being exploited. Elias stopped answering his phone. Reporters camped outside his workshop. Cameras. Questions. Accusations. Lily stopped going outside. Too many people. Too much noise. Celeste tried to defend him. Did interviews. Showed evidence. But the doctors had power. Credentials. The weight of institutions behind them. Ms. Beaumont is emotionally compromised. One specialist said on national TV. She wants to believe so badly that she's seeing progress that isn't real. Ariel watched from her wheelchair. She was back in it more than out, still rebuilding strength, and felt rage burn through her. They were doing it again, telling her what was real, what she felt, what was possible. She grabbed her mother's phone, opened Instagram Live. 2 million people joined in 3 minutes. My name is Ariel Beaumont, she said. Her voice was steady, strong. For years ago I fell. 17 doctors told me I'd never walk again. They did surgery. It made me worse. They blamed me. Said it was in my head. Her eyes burned into the camera. Then a man in a broken workshop asked me one question. Where does it hurt? She stood up. Slow. Shaking. But she stood. He didn't have fancy degrees. He had something better. He listened. The comments exploded. The live stream hit 10 million viewers. Celeste watched her daughter, standing, defiant, powerful, and felt something shift in the universe. But Elias knew the truth. This wasn't over. The medical world doesn't forgive people who prove them wrong. And they were coming for him. 3 days later, the lawsuit arrived. Massachusetts Medical Board versus Elias Rowan. Practicing medicine without a license. Endangering public welfare. Fraud. They wanted him arrested. And they wanted to make sure no one ever believed in miracles again. The lawsuit changed everything. Elias couldn't work. Couldn't help anyone. One wrong move and they take Lily away. Say he was unfit. Dangerous. He sat in his workshop at 2 a.m., staring at legal papers he couldn't afford to fight. That's when Celeste showed up. No limousine this time. She drove herself. Knocked on the door like a regular person. You can't be here, Elias said. It'll make things worse. I don't care. She walked in. Put a folder on his workbench. That's a legal team. The best in the country. They're yours. I can't pay. You saved my daughter. This isn't about money. Elias stared at her. This woman who showed up in the rain 3 months ago, desperate and broken. Now she was standing in front of him like a soldier. They're going to destroy me anyway, he said quietly. Legal team won't matter. Then we fight louder. But it wasn't Celeste who changed everything. It was Lily and Ariel. The two girls had become inseparable. Lily, who never connected with anyone, followed Ariel everywhere. And Ariel, who'd spent 4 years in silence, talked to Lily like she understood a language no one else spoke. One afternoon, Lily was having a meltdown. Overstimulated. Scared. Rocking and humming. Hands over her ears. Ariel rolled her wheelchair close. Didn't touch her. Didn't talk. Just hummed the same pattern back. Lily stopped. Looked at her. And for the first time in her life, Lily hugged someone who wasn't her father. Elias watched from the doorway, tears streaming down his face. Celeste stood beside him. She sees her. Yeah. The way you saw Ariel. They stood in silence. Two parents who loved broken things. Who refused to give up when the world said it was hopeless. I was wrong about you, Celeste said softly. I thought you were nobody. Just a mechanic in a poor neighborhood. I am nobody. No. She turned to him. You're the person who saw my daughter when I couldn't. You're the one who gave her back to me. Her voice cracked. I don't know how to repay that. Elias watched Lily and Ariel together. Two girls laughing. Playing. Alive. You already did, he said. You brought her here. Lily's never had a friend before. Celeste wiped her eyes. Neither has Ariel. Outside, the reporters were still circling. The lawsuit was still coming. The medical board wanted blood. But inside this workshop, two families who should never have met were becoming something stronger. Something unbreakable. And when the trial came, the world would see exactly what that meant. The courtroom was packed. News cameras lined the walls. Reporters, activists, people in wheelchairs who traveled across the country just to be there. Elias sat at the defendant's table in a suit Celeste bought him. He looked uncomfortable, out of place. The prosecutor was sharp, confident. Mr. Rowan, you have no medical degree, no license, no formal training. Yet you treated a vulnerable young woman. Do you deny this? No. Do you understand that's illegal? I wasn't treating her. I was listening to her. The prosecutor smiled, like he'd won already. Listening is not medicine, Mr. Rowan. Maybe that's the problem. The courtroom murmured. The prosecutor brought out specialists, charts, medical testimony, all saying the same thing. Elias was dangerous, lucky at best, a fraud at worst. Then it was the defense's turn. Celeste's lawyer stood up. We'd like to call our first witness. The doors opened. Ariel walked in, not in a wheelchair, not supported, walking. The courtroom gasped. Cameras flashed. She walked to the stand slowly, carefully, sat down, looked directly at the prosecutor. For years ago I fell, she said. 17 doctors told me I'd never walk again. They cut into my spine, made it worse, then told me it was in my head. Her voice was strong, clear. Elias Rowan asked me one question they never did. Where does it hurt? And he listened when I told him. The prosecutor interrupted. Miss Beaumont, emotional testimony doesn't. I'm not finished. The room went silent. You want to punish him for not having a degree? Fine. But those degrees missed what a mechanic saw in 10 minutes. She stood up from the witness stand. You want proof? Here's your proof. She walked across the courtroom. No help. No support. Celeste was sobbing in the front row. Ariel stopped in front of the judge. If listening to patients is illegal, then your system is broken. Not him. The judge looked at Elias, at Ariel, at the hundreds of people filling the room. Mr. Rowan, the judge said slowly, did you ever claim to be a doctor? No, Your Honor. Did you charge Miss Beaumont for your help? No. Did you promise her a cure? No. I told her I'd try. That's all. The judge was quiet for a long time. Then she spoke. Case dismissed. The courtroom exploded. Reporters rushed forward. Cameras everywhere. But Elias wasn't looking at them. He was looking at Lily, sitting with Celeste in the front row. His daughter was smiling, really smiling. Ariel walked over to him, hugged him tight. Thank you, she whispered, for seeing me. Thank you for trusting me. Outside, the world was watching. The video of Ariel walking went viral instantly. 500 million views in 24 hours. News coverage everywhere. The mechanic who healed what doctors couldn't. But Elias didn't do interviews. Didn't capitalize. He went back to his workshop. Back to Lily. Back to the quiet life he understood. Celeste funded a clinic in his name. Real doctors. Real equipment. But built on his principle. Listen first. Ariel enrolled in medical school. She wanted to be the kind of doctor Elias was, without the degree he never had. And sometimes, late at night, the two families still met in that workshop. Lily and Ariel. Elias and Celeste. Two worlds that collided in the rain and created something the world would never forget.